Sawadee Krap. Hello and welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. Today we're continuing our mini lesson with the Four Noble Truths. We're discussing the second noble truth, which is going to help you to understand the cause of discontentedness. Because once you understand the cause, then you can focus on the elimination. Welcome. The second noble truth is helping you to understand the cause of discontentedness and why it arises in the mind. Remember back to our mini lesson on the universal truth of discontentedness. Discontentedness is pleasant feelings, painful feelings, and feelings that are neither painful nor pleasant. Pleasant feelings are things like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, euphoria. Painful feelings are things like anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety. Feelings that are neither painful nor pleasant are things like boredom, loneliness, shyness, displeasure, unsatisfactoriness, uncomfortableness. These arise in the mind based on some condition. That condition is craving, desire, attachment, where the mind has this mental longing for something with a strong eagerness. The second noble truth reads like this: discontentedness is caused by our own cravings, desires, attachments, because the mind wants everything to be permanent when everything in the world is impermanent. I'm going to read that a few times and provide some examples to help you understand it. Because this noble truth, the second noble truth, is helping you to understand why all discontentedness arises in the mind. This is so crucial for you to experience that breakthrough and acquire wisdom to then be able to understand the cause, and then in the third noble truth, understand the elimination of discontentedness. Discontentedness is caused by our own cravings, desires, attachments. This is the mental longing for something with a strong eagerness, the yearning, the mind pulling in the direction of the objects of its affection. It wants the objects of its affection. The unenlightened mind wants what it wants. And when it doesn't get that, then it becomes discontent with painful feelings. But if it gets the objects of its affection, then it gets these pleasant feelings of happiness, excitement, and elation. But those are only temporary. Discontentedness is caused by our own cravings, desires, attachments, because the mind wants everything to be permanent when everything in the world is impermanent. So the mind has this mental longing and strong eagerness to hold on to things permanently, yet things are constantly changing because of the universal truth of impermanence. Let me provide you an example. If you've ever been in a relationship that you enjoyed, you were having a good relationship, and then at some point this relationship split. Well, the reason why the mind was experiencing anger or frustration or boredom or loneliness during that time of the split is because the mind was craving, it was yearning, it was longing. It had this desire, this want, this expectation that this relationship would be permanent, when in fact the relationship was impermanent. The unenlightened mind doesn't understand the universal truth of impermanence. So it craves and it yearns, it clings, it tries to hold on to things permanently. And when these things change, the unenlightened mind doesn't like that. And that's where discontentedness arises in the mind. Another example might be if you've ever had a car or a motorbike or some object like a bicycle, and say you parked it at a store and you went into the store. If you came out of the store and you saw a scratch on your car, you might get angry or frustrated or irritated. That's because the mind doesn't understand impermanence. What caused the discontentedness in the mind isn't the scratch or the person who caused the scratch. That would be wrong view. Someone else isn't causing your mind to be discontent. Your mind is causing itself to be discontent. Because when it sees this scratch, the mind is craving permanence, wanting this car to permanently look good. But then when it sees the scratch, it then becomes discontent with anger or sadness or frustration or some other discontent feeling. This is how the mind goes up and down and up and down. It chases and yearns for pleasant feelings, so it chases after the objects of its affection. If it gets the objects of its affection, then it has these pleasant feelings. These conditioned pleasant feelings are temporary because they're based on some impermanent condition. So the mind goes up with this happiness, excitement, this thrill, this euphoria. But then when that impermanent condition changes, when you break up with your friend or your boyfriend, your girlfriend no longer is in a relationship with you, or you come outside and see the scratch on your car, then the mind moves to this painful feeling because of the change. It doesn't like this impermanence. Now it experiences anger, frustration, irritation, annoyance, or some other discontent feeling. One of the ways to explain this second noble truth is not only discontentedness is caused by our own craving, desire, attachments, because the mind wants everything to be permanent when everything in the world is impermanent. So here the mind is craving permanence. Another way to say this is the mind doesn't like impermanence. It doesn't like change. So whenever there's change, the mind doesn't like this and it gets shaken up. It's unsteady, it's uncalm. It doesn't like this impermanence in your life because it doesn't understand that the universal truth of impermanence shows us that everything is going to change. But yet the mind is craving and holding on. It's yearning, it's longing for this permanence. So now that you understand the cause of discontentedness, you've learned this. Now it's time to start reflecting on this. The way you reflect on this is you look back over your past experiences. Think about the most recent time that you were angry, frustrated, or irritated. And think about what caused that. Don't think about another person. Don't think about the situation. Think about what was going on in your own mind. Here you're trying to independently verify whether this second noble truth is true or not. So you look back over your recent past and you attempt to discern whether or not this is actually true. You can look at whether you were irritated, you were angry, you were sad. What was it that the mind was yearning for? It was longing for something. It was wanting something. What was it? And you can look at each individual situation from the past and now going forward. Whenever your mind becomes discontent, there's some craving, desire, attachment. There's something that the mind is yearning for. It's longing for something. And when you can figure that out, then you know what the cause of your discontentedness is. And this is how you actually now move to practice. Once you've learned, you reflect on this, independently verifying the truth that you can see and have this breakthrough that yes, it is craving, desire, attachment that's causing discontentedness in the mind. And now going forward, the way you practice is anytime your mind is discontent, you can observe that it's the craving, desire, attachment. And now you can try to cut that off and let it go. So that rather than holding on and wanting the objects of your affection and chasing after these pleasant feelings to only be able to experience painful feelings later, when you feel your mind longing and yearning for something with craving, desire, attachment, you need to restrain the mind. That's where your practice comes in. We're going to be talking about this more as part of the third noble truth. Thank you for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Sawadee krap.